You should read your Bible, sirs. You'll find all types of weird shit in there.
Hey, want to have a rousing discussion about truth, honor, patriotism?
No, not you. Not you. Your organization's terrible. Quiet. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
How about you, you crazy Dutch bastard?
You ever been mind fucked before?
You are fake news.
Me on a mirror.
The media said what?
Let's see what these deep state characters are up to.
Now you see that evil will always triumph, because good is dumb.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going this Friday?
Oh, it's Friday again. That part's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here. Oh, you know what? I keep wondering why I'm looking over here, and I'm like, why am I having to look over there? There it is. That's because you're over. I have you on the wrong screen.
Oh,
My dear friend, how are you? How was your
Good.
How was your week?
That's pretty good. Well, so maybe our hospital is entering crisis standards of care because we have way more kids than we can take care of. So that's not awesome, but you know, just me personally, I'm great. So,
But it must be expected because it's people, you know.
well, because why would we mask or, you know, elected
would you do
officials were laughing about masking. So why would we do that?
Yeah. Yo, Lamar, what's up? Let me.
Hey.
I just muted
So-
myself. I need beer tonight. I don't know why I'm drinking fucking Diet Dr. Pepper. I need alcohol.
I have Coke Zero. I need that caffeine.
The zero sugar stuff is 1,000 times better than the real sugar stuff. Like, it's not even close anymore to me. I can't even stomach regular sugar.
Oh, I accidentally got my kid was helping me and they got like regular Coke and I took a sip. I was like, what is this? It's so sweet. It's like so upsettingly sweet.
Did you get like tongue burn afterwards? Like numbness?
Yeah, it was just like my mouth just felt weird. I was like, I'm not used to that much sugar.
They gave us Melissa and I were driving to the airport a couple weeks ago and they gave us regular Cokes at Wendy's or something. And I'm like, we neither of us drank it. Because we didn't realize till we got away. And we're like,
no, it doesn't even taste good.
Nope, it's gross. Coke should be banned. Cancel Coke.
Uh-oh, that sounds pretty commie of you, Dutch.
Well, you know, I don't care. Because first of all, I'm a deep fake. I had mentioned Lindsay called me deep fake Dutch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at him. He looks really digitalized. I think this is a deep fake hack. Like Trump or someone is trying to trick me into saying something and they're using a Dutch deep fake. I know. He's glitching. He's glitching. I knew it.
You might not even get that reference. Lamar will tell us who that is. That's Max Headroom, the 80s icon and superstar, Max Headroom. You know what Max Headroom is?
Nope.
Well, you are young.
I know. I can't be older than I am.
This is Max Headroom. Headroom is how it's spelled, but
it's like I'm gonna move my camera.
There's an actor. The actor who plays it is somewhat recognizable. I think he was on like some Disney shows. Here we go. This is This is Max Headroom. He was just a guy who would go on television when in the 80s, and like he was meant to be digital, right? Like, but so like he would talk and he'd glitch. He'd be hello, like, you know, he's in. There's a scene of him in Spaceballs.
Okay.
Like, you know, and now the preview for Rocky 5,000 and
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah. So it's an 80s reference, right? Like we had bad dumb shit on in the 80s. So
No, it's great. It was fun. I just was a baby, so
yes. Well, now you're just a naughty nurse who hates her job.
I guess.
How am I going to prove this to you? Well, Dirty Lindsay, she's just, I mean, these nurses are so lazy. They are so like, just, they're just a
Irish Swede.
problematic group of people. What's up, Swede?
Facts.
Swede, we've got to do some economics talk. I want to talk to you about some stuff. Send me a DM. I want to do free trade versus fair trade and just kind of talk about that. But all right, Irish Swede. So we're gonna talk about some later on the show. First, we're gonna watch a couple quick video clips. We're getting really mad. Lindsay, I sure has one or two things she'll go over. But the bulk of the show, I think we're just gonna have our main topic, which is gonna be atheism versus like people who hate religion, like myself, like not necessarily atheist. We just kind of want to talk about how that impacts us and like what differences we might have. So,
just in time for the holiday season.
This is stage 3 of the War on Christmas.
Christmas episode, War on Christmas.
The War on Christmas is going swimmingly well, by the way. I went to the Bakersfield Christmas tree and found it not there. So they were still like late putting it up because they couldn't get the tree from like Home Depot or something like that in time. I was like, okay, my job, I was recruited by Bernie, of course. And my job was to unscrew one bulb on every neighbor's house. Just so that they
a noble task.
No, but literally my Christmas lights, somebody did that to them because I put up my own Christmas lights and like I have like 6 strands of lights. 3 of them didn't work. So I'm like, okay, next year I'm just gonna have to buy. I put up half a house of lights. I blew up the Mickey Mouse Santa Claus thing for the kids. That's all they're getting this year. Scrooge McDad. Next year they can get new stuff. So
I think that's fair.
Kimberly, see, thank you. Kimberly K.
I'm sorry. I can't be older than I am until I get there.
No, you can't be older till you are. I was your age once.
I know.
By the way, real quick, someone announced, but I know Anna, I don't know if you guys talked about this on Wednesday. Thank you for filling in for me. You had to suffer through Mikey and you get to talk to Anna, which is like always great.
No, it's so much fun. We had a great time. We had a lot of fun.
You guys are going to, it sounds to me like you guys are going to do a kind of a ladies' night women's issue stream. Kimberly in the chat, Anna, yourself, and Amani. So we're all looking forward to that. Give us like the 10-second elevator pitch on like what you guys are planning.
So we're going to start something for the new year. And I'm not going to say the exact date because it's still a little up in the air, but we're going to hit it big. We're thinking reproductive rights. A lot of state legislators are going to be in session and they're looking at issues like birth control, abortion. So we're going to hit that, looking at women's reproductive rights and what that looks like in America in the new year. Oh, so Kimberly said it. I wasn't sure if we were going to say it or not, but January 11th is the plan. So
Kim, the fearless, the fearless advocate of dates. She's like,
I know.
oh, no,
I was like, I don't know. I wasn't like, we didn't say if we were saying, so I don't want to be the one who.
No, I got nothing to. I'm
no,
not dictating anything, but hey, Killmonger. So all right, let's get to that. So I was ripping on Lindsay for her nurseness, and there's a reason why, because Matt Walsh must always be correct. Like if you ask Matt Walsh, he will tell you himself he is always right. He is the one with the logic. He is the one with the truth. He is the one who knows what's going on. What's up, Maze kid? You're just in time to find out what a terrible nurse, what a terrible person Lindsay must be because of everyone in her profession. That happens to be female, of course. I don't know how they feel about male nurses. They probably think male nurses are like trans people or something. I have no idea.
Boys.
Yes. So let's go here real quick. I don't know if you've seen this story or not, but here it is.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be.
Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Well, I regret to inform you, my friends, that the nurses are at it again. We all remember the COVID days when nurses across the country were posting choreographed dance routines to TikTok, constantly complaining about being overworked and understaffed, even as they turned the hospital's hallways into a scene from High School Musical. It was annoying. It was insufferable.
How dare you do that, Lindsay?
How dare some nurses dance? How dare they? If
know,
some nurses are dancing, does COVID even exist? That is the question we have to be asking.
There's two people who are not, two groups of people who are not allowed to dance in the eyes of the right wing. Nurses and AOC. Yeah. That's it.
It's inappropriate.
Right. You can't and AOC should have known that before, because it was 10 years before she got into
exactly
politics, so,
when she was in college. Like, just don't dance if you're ever going to be in the public eye.
Exactly. Ben Shapiro and his wife at their wedding, no dancing whatsoever.
No dancing.
And no sex, by the way.
Inappropriate.
Also.
Well, just like desert sandpaper. It's fine.
You know, wet women make him disgust him.
Kim's offended I dance. I know. It's shameful.
So,
it's truly it's offensive.
What more have you, Matt? You must have something credible here.
And it exposed a troubling weakness in the nursing community. That is their need for attention, which is, of course, a weakness shared by almost everyone in our culture. Among nurses, it was put on display yet again.
Says the man on a podcast. Like, really, Matt? He can't shut up for 2 minutes. Like, these nurses want attention on my show.
The irony is just unbelievable.
Keep going, Matt. You're doing amazing.
You know, all of us do this, but nurses specifically.
But I'm particularly pissed off when nurses do it.
Right.
They also
style
eat,
of video,
and I hate it.
This week, NBC News reports 4 labor and delivery nurses at an Atlanta hospital came under fire over a TikTok video in which they shared the things that annoy them about expecting mothers and their families. The nurses at Emory University Hospital Midtown were participating in a popular trend where users share their icks or turnoffs about a person. The TikTok trend originally began as a way for someone to describe why they stopped dating another person. I can already tell you one of my icks, which is people using the term ick to describe their pet peeves. I know this might come as a shock to TikTok users, but we actually don't need a cutesy new slang term for everything. Now, I realize that every generation is entitled to come up with its own slang, but this latest generation has grossly abused that privilege. There should be laws governing this. Like, if I was theocratic fascist dictator, I would allow maybe 3 new slang terms to enter the lexicon every 25 years. Each generation.
Kim Jong Walsh.
He is annoyed by the most inane shit. Like, there are atrocities happening. He's like, you know what I hate? When kids use words I don't understand.
He said,
hate that.
The amazing thing is he said, if I were a theocratic fascist dictator, that's what you want.
That's his dream.
Like, if he were the president, he would be absolutely that. I still want my cigarettes for Nurse Ratched. I know my rights. Old man yells at cloud from Maze and other sweets.
Seriously. Like, Matt Walsh and I are similar age, and I'm like, God, you're such a boomer. Like,
and Kimberly, Kimberly, again, I didn't even notice that. This fucking idiot is talking about people want attention with a bobblehead of himself behind him.
That tracks. Like it's really like
in front of a banjo of all things.
This is the man who was like, you know what nurses want is attention. But I'd like to sit here and talk to you about how much I don't like slang on a podcast of myself with a bobblehead of myself in the background.
And also in the background in the upper right, like a torpedo with a cartoon head.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are you going to torpedo? And why do you have your participation trophy underneath it?
Exactly. No, he's doing so well. This is good stuff.
It's gonna get really, really bad.
Oh,
but
I'm sure it's gonna get real good. Go, Matt, go.
This generation gets to pick 3. Not 3 in a week, but 3 total.
So let's see. So the right wing came up with Snowflake, Let's Go Brandon, Cuck,
Soy boy.
Soy boy. I mean, yeah. So what he means is the left or young people get to come up with new ones, but the right gets to do whatever.
Pro-abortees. They call them pro-abortees now.
Yeah.
He just doesn't like the ones that he doesn't.
In any
come
case,
up
bring
with,
it back to the nurse.
Or no.
What's that?
He just doesn't like the ones that he doesn't come up with or know what they mean.
Yeah, they're too witty for him, Matt. So they must be dumb. They must be woke.
Not to jump ahead and spoil the ending, but according to NBC, it would seem that they have been fired. It says, quote, Emory Healthcare said the video is disrespectful and unprofessional and does not represent our commitment to patient, family-centered care. We've investigated the situation, taken appropriate action with the former employees responsible for the video, the company said in an Instagram post. So former employees. The hospital never specifically confirmed that they were terminated for the video, but I think we can logically assume that they didn't all happen to retire suddenly at the same time. So it appears, therefore, that this video was a bad idea. Here it is.
My ick is when you come in for your induction talking about, can I take a shower and eat?
What? My ick is when you ask me how much the baby weighs and it's still in your hands. Dad comes outside and asks for a paternity test right outside the room door.
Saying you don't want any pain medicine, no epidural, but you are at an 8 out of 10 pain with just a Cervidil and you're still closed, fingertip.
When we've already told you to push the call light, but every 5 minutes, your family member coming at the front desk
Can I have some water?
asking for something else.
Excuse me, can I have a blanket?
Another ick, when you're going room to room between one baby mama and your other baby mama.
Oh, no.
Ick.
Say that.
It's the unlimited trips to the nurse's station for me.
Well, ladies, the good news is that you don't have to worry about any of those icks anymore.
Okay, real quick. I'm not going to allow Lindsay to comment on any of those items because I do not want Lindsay to lose her job over that. However, you will never hear me say those words again. I will not allow Lindsay to, but I
don't worry. I don't work L&D and I'm not at work with my badge on talking about patients. So we're good. We're good.
Well, but the point, I called this on stream the other day. So I'm not watching this for the first time. But the other day, if you watch at Dutch Jason or twitch.tv/Dutch Jason, my new Twitch channel, where it's just me being an idiot and watching this shit. I was like, man, he's going to fucking rip on all of that stuff. But somehow I think he'll agree with the statement about the baby daddies.
Of course he will.
I just want to say when it comes up that I called it and I called it live and I celebrated for like 3 minutes my victory. So
of course he is.
Like, so, but then again, it's Matt Walsh. So like, duh, like anybody knew that he was going to say that, but
yeah.
The bad news is that you're going to discover a new ick, which is called unemployment. Don't be distracted by parties and presents this holiday. The Chosen, the largest Christian streaming series in 25 will help grow your understanding of put to the test. Hallow is the #1 Christian. Hallow helps me make prayer a priority, and with app for free, join the Pray 25 challenge. All you got to do is go to hallow.com/Matt Walsh. 3 months completely free. It's hallow.com/Matt Walsh to reclaim your peace
download
this holiday season. But I can understand why you were so frustrated. I mean, it must be difficult when your patients are a bunch of domineering prima donnas, constantly making outrageous and haughty demands for exorbitant luxuries like food and blankets. Next thing I know, you're going to tell me that they even sometimes request anesthesia before surgery. I mean,
I'm just going to note here that the person that was being complained about was literally saying they didn't want the anesthesia, but complaining of pain. So never mind that, Matt. But anyway,
I mean, these are divas we're talking about. Now, I admit there might be something. There might be something to some of the complaints they lodged in that video. It wasn't all unreasonable. I would also be annoyed and kind of grossed out by a man who has 2 children being born by 2 different women in the same birthing unit, though that's...
Of course!
There you go. You knew. You knew.
Sounds more like the plot of a 90s comedy starring Eddie Murphy than an actual real-life event. Be that as it...
Why did he pick Eddie?
You know why.
Like, is 90s even count as like a... Does he even count as like a 90s movie star? I thought, was he more like 80s movie star?
It was like the 80s. Yeah, like Coming to America.
Yeah. I mean, some of the Disney stuff, like Haunted Mansion was 90s, but like he was doing like cutesy kid stuff in the 90s, like Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah. And for 1 minute, just to stick up, I don't agree with this video. And when they made it, I was like, oh, that's so cringe. But to stick up for nurses, when we have like 6 patients and you have multiple meds for those patients in L&D, they have to check on their patients hourly, which takes like 15 minutes. So you have 45 minutes per hour that you are running from room to room to room. And that's if everything goes according to plan and somebody doesn't have an emergency or the plans change or vitals change. So while you're running from room to room to room, and then you have one family that continually is trying to pull you back into their room, that is hard. Like, imagine doing a task and you get interrupted every 3 minutes. You lose your train of thought. That's how med errors happen. Like, not saying families shouldn't do that, because absolutely, if you need something, tell them. But it does get to be hard when you're interrupted every 2 minutes and you're on a 12-hour shift and you're running for 11.5 of those 12 hours. So where he's like, oh, they're such prima donnas, like it gets exhausting. And then when you're constantly interrupted, you have to like completely refocus again. So I don't agree with them making this video. And as a nurse, I'm like, there are times I'm like, okay, I need somebody to not interrupt me for 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes in this 12-hour shift where I can do these tasks and not be interrupted.
Yeah. I mean, you got to make sure you're not giving someone the wrong medication. I mean, that's kind of important, right? So
yeah.
Kim says, I've been in the hospital over 200 times and spent 2 months in while pregnant. A lot of these are valid. Killmonger. Nurses are the bomb. Y'all need more love and time off.
Oh, thank you. I agree. Oh my God.
And Lamar is, of course, agreeing with Matt Walsh. He says Eddie had a lot of kids and life was in the 90s. All right. So Matt Walsh, apparently Lamar likes the comment. So I think he agreed by accident with Matt Walsh there. But I'm more disagreeing with me, but I know what you were doing there, Lamar. You were disagreeing with me because that's like the cool kids thing to do on this network. But just guess what there? By disagreeing with me, you have thus de facto sided with Matt Walsh.
No, it's okay, because remember, Dutch is a deep fake today. So if you're disagreeing with him, he won't remember it. It's not real. So you can actually say whatever.
I am Matt Walsh.
It could, yeah, he knew you were going to do this.
Prove me wrong.
I haven't seen you two in the same room, so.
I love when people say like something like, especially sports related, LeBron best ever, prove me wrong. I like cheese, prove me wrong. That's an opinion. It's okay, but whatever.
Oh, Irish Sweet. Irish Sweet just said he had a great experience with nurses, and I'm so glad, because I'm not saying what they did was right. I think making this video is very problematic because patients need us, and in any job, there's aspects of the job that are frustrating that other people won't get if they don't do the job. But saying that these aren't reasonable, like Matt is just being a douche per his usual.
The only reasonable thing he said, of course, was the 2 baby daddies. That's so disgusting.
I know. Of course, that'd be the thing that he's upset about.
The bobblehead looks like it's in a sus position. That's actually true as well. Kim's just staring at the bobble. It does look like he's about to take it in the rear end.
It looks like a baby's body.
Matt,
with a Matt Walsh head.
Matt, have you been bottomed by someone? Because that would be fucking great. I always said that if and I think Irish Swede said this too. Like when we play our game, we play a game on the Wednesday show. It's called Prank One, Marry One, Snap One. And it's like the game that you've played as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And once in a while, we'll give someone like 3 people that they hate. And I think we gave Irish Swede like Ben Shapiro, Mitch McConnell, and some other just outrageously terrible choice. And he's like, I think if I had to pick one, I'd like to make Ben Shapiro the bottom. So it would just give him a degree of satisfaction. That does look suspiciously.
Dreams come true, I guess.
Like, look at the bobblehead doll. It looks naked. It does.
I know. I don't want to get deeper into Matt's psyche, to be honest. Like, it's a dark place in there. It is a dark place.
Oh my God. This is just such gold, but it's terrible. So we'll wrap this up.
As it may, some of the complaints seem valid. And I'm sure there are plenty of nurses out there who could make many other complaints, even more valid and defensible than the icks these ones outline. In fact, I know they could because I have nurses in my family and I've heard the stories. But there are 2 points that these ill-fated TikTokers failed to understand. And these are lessons that all of us, no matter our careers.
I'm not sure they count as TikTokers. Like they made
a TikTok video, yeah,
and like interviewed them, but whatever.
Would do well to keep in mind. First, you go into the same job every day. Okay. You have helped hundreds of patients, if that's your
my
job.
God.
So you have been asked for blankets and food hundreds of times.
I am so excited for Matt Walsh to mansplain my job to me. I've been waiting for this my whole life. This is going to be great. Go, Matt, go. Tell me about my job, bitch.
And every slightly annoying or silly or thoughtless thing a patient might say or do, you've encountered dozens and dozens of times. So you feel the cumulative effect of all of those little annoyances. But your patients don't. So this is a job to you. This is something that you punch in and punch out of every day. But if you work in the labor and delivery unit, for many of your patients, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. On average these days, it's not any more than a twice-in-a-lifetime experience. Nobody is in there having a new baby every 3 days, unless it's my wife we're talking about. This is always the tension between...
Oh, a little self-deprecation there from Matt Walsh. You see that?
Wow. He's funny. You know, he was like, oh, that's a good one. That'll get him. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to play that. Like he'll go on to mansplain this some more. We don't have to well, let's give him. Matt, you have 30 seconds to wrap up your thoughts.
Employee and customer, employee and client, employee and patient.
Oh, so you're saying that if you go into a business and it says, please put on a mask, that you will comply. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that you feel
that. That's interesting,
You're both
Matt.
Involved in the same experience, but the experience is fundamentally different for both of you because of your roles. For you, it's a job, but not for them.
No shit.
So part of your job then,
Captain Obvious,
is to not bring your weariness and annoyance into the experience. Yes, you've been asked for 1 million blankets, yet the patient asked.
Okay.
So he wants us to not be human. Like, because this is a special experience for me, you don't get to actually, and that, I mean, that is my complaint with nursing is, like when people are upset with nurses, it's because they don't want nurses to be people. Like they don't want us to be tired. They don't want us to be frustrated. They're like, just leave what the other patient said out of it because I want you like completely focused on me. So yeah, he's frustrated that a nurse is a person, like with human feelings.
I'm going to pause you because I was going to say something else, but that segue is perfect for this.
I'm a professional.
Same show. I'm going to play about 90 seconds of this. And I'm just going to warn you right now, this might be the most repulsive comment I've ever heard a human being speak. So if you're sensitive, don't listen.
You are an abuser simply by walking into the room.
Is he talking about himself?
So he just said, I pause it right there on purpose because I wanted to play that statement. He said, you are an abuser simply by walking into the room. Who could he possibly be talking about?
I mean, I know based on the title, it's going to be bad.
Yeah. So now we're going to play, like I said, about 90 seconds of this. So here we go.
But it's also no surprise when we hear about incidents like this and we see acts of violence against women carried out by...
Which, by the way, the story he's referring to is that there was a trans person and two women who are biological females who were in the bathroom and got into a little altercation. Basically, it was a high school fight. And Matt is making it about trans. So he's going to characterize the entire community off of someone who got into a bathroom fight. So for whatever reason, the fact that the media isn't covering it, a high school fight. My daughter's been in high school fights. They were not on the news. But
yeah,
the media
well, that's because it's a trans kid. And they moved them to another school. And so now it's news.
Yep. So here we'll go. We'll listen for about 95 seconds here.
Quote unquote trans people in bathrooms and locker rooms and so on, because how could it be a surprise? Their very presence in that space is an act of violence in and of itself. Okay. So for a man to enter into a private female space where females are vulnerable and exposed, that is an act of sexual harassment in and of itself. For a man to knowingly walk into a women's bathroom, that's sexual harassment, just to be there in the first place. You are an abuser simply by walking into the room. So we make a mistake.
You think that he's already gone into the deep end already. He's already said some of the most damaging things that you can imagine. Quick pause for your thoughts, because there's more.
Okay, I just have to ask, Dutch, as a man, what do you think happens in a ladies' restroom?
People go to the bathroom, and there's gossip, I've heard.
So I just don't, the complaints these conservatives make, I don't think they understand what happens. There's not urinals in the ladies' bathroom. There are stalls, sometimes a couch if it's fancy. And you go in and you shut the door. Like, I have used a ladies' restroom my entire life, and I have never seen somebody else's genitalia, woman or man. So I just don't understand what they think happens. If you're using the restroom correctly, you don't see anybody else's genitalia. That's not how restrooms work.
But wait. But if a man goes into the women's bathroom, he must be using the sink.
See, and that's the thing. I'm like, where they're like, well, they might whip out their genitalia. Well, that's a crime anywhere. Right. If they do that literally anywhere, that's a crime. And that's not how you use a restroom. I've been in the restroom with trans people, and it was the same experience I've had with cis people. So do they fundamentally misunderstand or sexualize what's happening in women's restrooms? Because it's a really bland experience. It's gross. We're trying to get out of there. We waited too long in line. Now we're in a stall. Now we're out. That's it. That's all that happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's going to get worse. So let's let him do it. Because you got to... You got to listen to the call to arms here, people. I mean, what he's already said is that he was speaking about trans people in general. And of course, they're afraid of the men who identify as women. They could care less about women who identify as men.
No, see, that's never the issue.
Right. But he already said just by their existence, they are abusers. But what could be your call to action, Matt?
Conservatives have made the mistake for a while when we have the bathroom debate and we center it around, hypotheticals about what about men who might pretend, quote unquote, to be trans, just so that for nefarious purposes they can gain access to the bathroom or the locker room. And yeah, that is a concern. I mean, we know for sure that happens. And I think that's probably even more common in prisons, where you have male prisoners who just out of whole cloth invent their,
by the way,
quote,
they
trans
don't know
identity
for sure
as a way to
that it
access
happens,
the women's prison.
No.
So we know that sort of thing happens.
No, you don't.
No.
But when we center our argument around that, it makes it sound like, well, we're not concerned about the sincere trans people. And if there's some way to determine the insincere trans men from the sincere ones, then it would be no issue at all. I don't care if they're sincere or not.
He doesn't care if they're sincere or not. Let's just pause there and make sure you pay attention to this call to arms.
It's like either it's a man pretending to be confused about his gender or he's sincerely confused. Either way, doesn't make a difference. It's not suddenly better if the man is actually confused and he's going into the women's restroom. Because that's what we mean when we say sincerely or really trans. Trans as a category is imaginary. It's a human invention. So there's no way to be really trans, but you can be really confused about your identity. That does exist. But either way, no matter what your intentions are or your motivations, being there in the first place is a problem. It's an act of violence. Your presence is an intrusion. It is abusive. So there is no question about whether men in the women's room are a threat. Are they a threat? Yes. How do I know? Because they're in the room. Because they're...
Okay, so I'm just going to let you respond to that.
Yeah, okay. I've got a couple of things.
Fucking...
I've got a couple of things. First of all, my ick is the fact that Matt Walsh exists. So, right off the bat, that's my ick. I have to share a planet with that waste of space. Second of all, it's like so many things. First of all, the fact that he denies that he won't even deny that trans women exist. Like that, he is so transphobic, he won't even admit that they exist. He just calls them men, which is horrifying. And second of all, he says he tacitly admits it's a man problem, but it's not a trans woman problem. It's a man problem because I'm bi and I use the same restroom as some very beautiful ladies and I don't do shit. And lesbians use the same bathroom as some very attractive women and they don't do anything. Because you can successfully be attracted to a certain gender, use the restroom, and leave. The issue that he is talking about is cis men being predators, which is not a trans issue. That's a cis men being predators issue. But he wants to conflate that into trans women being predators. The same way they're talking about LGBTQ people are groomers. Like it is the same rhetoric.
Exactly. And this from a guy like Matt Walsh stepped up the game and Candace right along with him because she's got shit out there recently too. I covered last night. Just every bit is disgusting.
Yeah.
They're like going back and forth, playing one-on-one against each other to see who could be more obtuse. Read and rap, hello. What do you think that people who are fanatical and listen to you are going to say or going to do?
Well, we've already seen this. Did you see that video in Vegas?
I'm not familiar with the Vegas one, but I've seen a couple where people, of the, the other terrible actions that have taken place at like nightclubs.
Oh yeah, well, there was a
Um,
video where this lady in Vegas was using the restroom and another woman was harassing her and called security. And like yelled at her, got security. They were near a casino, and so the security came and this woman was like, "This is a man using the bathroom. I feel violated." She's a like her boyfriend came up and was like, she's a cis woman. Like she has a square jaw. But the police had been like security had been ready to remove her, and she was like, she was inappropriate. She was talking to me like all she did was like talk to her, and she assumed because she had this square face that she was a trans woman. And if the boyfriend, like once the boyfriend came, everyone was like, "Oh, okay." But like everyone was ready to like haul her off because this psycho accused her of being a trans woman. And that's the kind of shit. All these Karens are gonna feel empowered to like prove it. Like, are you kidding me now? We have to do like genitalia checks to use the bathroom? That's not psycho.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. These guys are sick. Like
they are.
Here this is the thing that I can't wrap my head around. And I had a right-wing guy come into my Twitch channel last night and just say, well, my problem with the left is they can't define a man or a woman, or what you can't define what a woman is. So I literally defined it for him.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very simple, by the way. Female is biological, woman is a social construct.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me what a woman is and then expect me to give you the answer of it is a female, because it is. Ask me if you were to genuinely ask the question, you would ask, so what's the difference between a female and a woman? There is a difference.
Yeah.
One was invented by society. The other is a scientific term. Right?
Yeah.
So like male, scientific. Man, social construct. And
Yeah.
by the way, the word woman, even the Bible agrees with me, because in Genesis it says male and female he created them, and then it says Adam called Eve, which by the way there's two creation narratives, which is very interesting about the Bible, because the Bible says clearly God on the sixth day God created the man, and he created male and female, he created them. And then a second later, it talks about, so God was walking through the garden, was lonely, and then created Adam. So like when Cain killed Abel, he went off to live with the Canaanites who already existed.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
There's actually like four separate, it's so interesting. There's like four separate narratives. And one of them is like Adam and Eve were just supposed to like take care of the garden. And that's why they got kicked out. Because in some of the older narratives, there isn't a discussion about being kicked out. It's just like, well, God made everything and was like, go. And then the being kicked out part is they disobeyed him. So he didn't want them to take care of the garden anymore. And so, it's all, that's why the stories don't make sense, because they're ancient,
made up.
Ancient Sephardic like fables.
Even when I was a Christian, I knew Genesis was like a story, like a fable. Like it can't be real. And the but Adam, just to wrap my point, the Bible says male and female he created them. Adam is the one who gave the name woman to Eve's gender, because he said she came out of, in the Bible narrative, God opened up the womb, or God opened up Adam and took a rib and then closed the womb. He came from the womb of man, so I will call her woman. That's a social construct right then and there, which Western society has adopted.
If you're Mormon, you get to LARP as Adam and Eve in the temple. So that's fun. And they're like, no, this is like real. This really all happened.
Right.
Anyway, you get to wear a little fig leaf apron and like a shawl, and the women get to cover their faces because we're dirty, dirty harlots. So It's really not traumatic at all.
Yeah, and when Eve gets the apple from the snake, the snake's always flirting with Eve, and she kicks her leg up and points her toe because she's so dirty.
Oh, even in the temple, Adam's a little bitch because God comes down and is like, Adam, why are you naked? And he's like, she made me eat the fruit. He's a little bitch, and Eve is not having it.
So Eve went off and had 3 kids by Joe.
I know. Eve was like, looks like we're separate. We're getting kicked out of the garden, and this is the first divorce on earth. So looks like you are the lone man in the garden, bitch. That was a deep cut for any Mormons who might be watching.
It could be real, but there are parts withheld from us to manipulate people. I don't know, but they use the same bigoted arguments every time. You're right, and they know they're wrong, which is the worst part. That's the thing. It's like they're like, but here's the thing, and this is the thing about and we're going to talk about this in a second, but even if it was real or it's not real, it doesn't impact you. Who fucking cares, right? And that's the thing that I don't get about Matt Walsh. Who your neighbor sleeps with or what they wear doesn't impact your life in the slightest. Doesn't impact you at all. You choose to let it impact you.
Well, and they don't want to listen when I say I don't give a fuck. I'm great with a transgender person being in the bathroom with me. I literally don't care. And they're like, no, this is oppression. And no, it's absolutely not. It's not. And they don't want to hear that. And they'll find some token woman who's like, no, I feel so scared. No, you don't. But they'll find someone who affirms what they're saying. And then everyone else, they're like, you're just woke. You just wait till you're attacked. They wish attacks on people so that they would support their ideology. It's it's wild.
You're actually giving them too much credit, because what they'll do is they'll find that woman that you just mentioned, and then they'll say, why I thought the left liked women there, but here they are.
Oh yeah.
Subjecting you to what you feel is abuse, and the left doesn't care at all.
Yeah. They actually hate women.
Yes. We hate women. We hate minorities on the left. That's what we do.
I mean,
the right actually likes them. We don't. We just pretend to. That's
they did the same thing with the abortion bans, where I was having arguments with people and they were like, well, you just want abortion because you're a eugenicist who's trying to get rid of Black people. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, no. The issue is minorities face the least access to reproductive care. And if a minority woman wants an abortion, I want her to have one. We need to ensure access for everyone, because getting rid of abortion and healthcare access affects minority populations, impoverished populations, rural populations the most. But constantly they're like, nope, you're just a racist. And I'm like,
yeah, it's,
okay.
By the way, my comeback to that, Margaret Sanger was a racist. So
I know, always.
So Planned Parenthood is a racist, and you're the real racist. Okay, I'll buy that argument from you. I will say that whoever created something is therefore responsible for its existence. George Washington had the teeth of a slave. Mm-hmm. He hated Black people. Therefore, America, which because he led the Constitutional Convention, must be also equally terrible into perpetuity. Mm-hmm. Do you agree? Well, no. Of course you don't.
Exactly.
Because it's only for the things that you care about, because you're a dishonest hack and you don't give a fuck about anything except your fears.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all there is to it. They'll say, oh, well, it's like the same. It's kind of like the union argument. Well, unions are bad because they have corruption. Capitalism has corruption.
Exactly.
They don't say a word about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a word. Oh no, okay, yeah, we're not going to blame all of capitalism because of one bad owner. Well, but you're certainly happy to blame all of unions for one bad union.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Margaret Sanger probably wasn't a very good person. George Washington
she was
probably not a very good
absolutely
person.
Racist. Yeah, no, Margaret Sanger was a monster.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean
George Washington,
that we shouldn't have abortion care today.
and like they I had a different I know that I said I was going to move, but I thought I had one other. Well, I don't see it, but like there was I was watching Victory News and Victory Channel, which is just a mess, and they were like, how dare I just randomly came across it, and they're like, they're teaching our kids fake stuff like Christopher Columbus was bad, and I'm like, have you seen our video on Christopher Columbus?
Yeah,
Like,
he's actually a monster. They don't go far enough, to be honest.
I
It's
agree
still
that both
pretty
of them
whitewashed.
are racist. Well, I'm glad we agree on that, Flow State. The LDS Church should take accountability for the trauma forced on people in their
Facts.
formative years. Yeah, that's.
Facts.
I'll let you guys speak on that one, but I'm that will never come up, I'm sure, on the ladies stream. Like you guys will never ever touch on stuff like that.
I was like, Anna and Amani are gonna be like, shut up about the already. We do not care.
Well, like Anna and Amani were like already planning their first girl trip together after like 2 minutes of talking on the phone. And they're like, oh, girl, I'm going to come down there. Like, we're going here. And I'm like, wait, you guys literally just met like 3 seconds ago. And they're so, but all right. So let's get to our main discussion. So atheism versus like let's do this. We're just gonna have just a candid conversation here for however long. I don't know how long you have tonight, but you just give me like a 15-minute warning whenever you get there.
Yeah.
So I identify as a I guess you'd say, and I even struggle identifying myself from a religious standpoint. Like I believe that there probably is a God. But he's not transcendent in the world. And I think religion is really, really fucking a shit show in all of its forms.
Mm-hmm.
I think religion is one of the biggest problems that we have in society, and is responsible for most, if not all, atrocities that take place in one capacity or the other.
Yeah.
So I am super anti-religious. I do not believe that God is transcendent in the world. I am open to the fact that he may have been in the past, but he certainly is not now. How does that differ? Just for the sake of announcing our thoughts, how does that differ from like where you're at?
So I would say I'm atheist. I don't think that there's really evidence of a God or a higher being in any way that we would worship. And so I like you, I think religion has been a net negative for the world. Like there have been things that are good within religion, but you could like, there are terrible politicians who pass one piece of legislation that is helpful. Like that doesn't absolve them of what they've done. And I feel similarly about religion. I'm fine with people practicing religion. That's fine. I'm fine with freedom of religion. If something gives people a sense of like belief and hope and meaning, that's fine. But it shouldn't interfere with my life or any of the laws of the land. Go worship what you want at church. Go believe whatever you want. Go preach it on the street corner. I don't care. But you don't get to make laws that affect me. And
No.
I'm atheist. I think when we die, that's it. And so we got to make the most of it while we're here.
So, excuse me, I went down the wrong pipe. God, fix that. Okay, not gonna fix it. For me, like it's, and I don't want to base the conversation around this, but like I think about this a lot. Like, I'm not really afraid of whether or not there is an afterlife or whether or not there isn't, because if there is an afterlife, then great, and if there isn't, I'm not going to know.
Yeah,
right.
You'll just be,
So
I'm like agnostic about an afterlife because
Yeah, I mean, like, and it doesn't even have to be necessarily a religious afterlife. Like, there are people who are totally non-religious but believe in ghosts. You know, like, oh well, the ghost of
Oh
my
yeah.
uncle, it comes to me. Okay, so then you believe in something. Like, and like I find that less likely. But the point is, like, I am concerned about like the moment of death. I think all of us fear the moment of death because you're like, you know, how's it going to feel to actually die? But then hopefully, you know, it'll be over in a second. But to
If
me,
you're
like
lucky.
yeah, that's true. But well, I meant the moment of death, like not dying like over the course of months. I mean, but like even if you are dying over the course of months, you have a moment of death. And like for me, it's stupid shit. Like, you know, you have the obvious, like, oh, you know, I wonder what, like, how my kids are going to be, how are they going to be taken care of, that sort of stuff. But then you also have dumb shit like, you know, there will be Avengers movies in 2251 that are made that I will never see, and that sucks,
Yeah.
right? Like, so like I want to see Avengers 61 in 2251 and see what happens, right? But I'll never see that, and that kind of blows.
Yeah.
So
It might be the last time you ate chocolate cake. Like, oh my God.
yes.
Don't let it be your last time to have chocolate cake.
Don't let it be like, so just eat it all the time and then you'll be dead from eating chocolate cake every day. But like for me, like and this may sound super naive to like or people who are atheists, but like to me, like if I would, since I was raised Christian, you know, the path to salvation under traditional Christian philosophy, though the right wing wants you to like live a certain way and do certain things, that's all they add all that stuff to control people. The Bible literally says it is by grace you have been saved, not by works, so that no man can boast. So all you really have to do is just say, okay, well, I confess that the Lord died for my sins. Thank you. That's it. You're done. Like now I'm good. Whether or not I am covered either way. And so like denying that and saying, oh, I take all that back isn't worth the possible cost for me. Right. But I also realize that it's like it's a coin flip. I don't know what's going to fucking happen, but like I'm hedging my bet. Maybe that's selfish, but I'm just being honest about it. Right. Like,
no,
so
I think that's a really human response. So I don't think that's wrong at all.
What I want to ask is like, so a lot of times this is a question I want to ask you, and I'm not accusing you of this at all because I don't think that, but a lot of times like you'll have a conversation with atheists and like I'll make a statement like that and they'll get mad at that statement and be like, but why are you doing that? You can't prove it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I don't want to, I'm not trying to prove the existence of God. I think that you can observe things in the universe and say, let's talk about possible scenarios as to why that exists and you know what those things might be, and maybe God becomes one of the possible solutions to it, and maybe it's not. But like I can't prove God any more than an atheist can disprove them. But like when do you choose to get into like the atheist versus God exists debate, or do you pretty much only get into it when it comes to like the impact of religion on society? Like which
I haven't had a like prove or disprove God exists conversation in a long time. A lot of times it's impact of religion on society. Who is it harming? Who is it benefiting? Is it being used as a shield for child molesters? Like what is the actual impact in society?
Yeah.
Net negative or net positive. So that's more because I have friends who do crystals and like stuff with bones and stones and oils and whatever. And like, I don't think that's real. And I also recognize that humans love ceremony and we need to have a purpose. Like humans do just need some kind of a sense of purpose or hope. And so if people derive that from crystals and rocks and the moon or God or a belief in an afterlife, I don't think that's wrong. Like that's a better coping mechanism than like being an alcoholic. Like we're all on this earth and life is hard and it doesn't make sense and it's not fair. And so people deriving a sense of hope and purpose outside of themselves with religion, I don't hate that unless it starts to impact other people, because like my crystal friends, they have never like been upset about a trans person using a bathroom. So I'd much rather we have a lot more like pagans and Wiccans. I mean, like, have you seen them dancing around fires? I want to low-key, I want to do that, but they aren't hurting anyone. And some of their beliefs like make sense. Like not that I think they're real or based in anything other than tradition, but we love community. We live in this very modern society, but we are a species that is a communal species that, we built our lives around the cycles of the moon, the, rotation of the earth. And so wanting to be in touch with that, like there is some beauty to that I can recognize. Just like there is something like poetic about like a high mass. And so if people want to believe in that, as long as they don't want to like impact my rights or like harass LGBTQ people, I don't really care. Unfortunately, there are certain religious beliefs that tend to do that.
Yeah, it's just so fascinating to me because like I have so many Christian people in my family, like, and they're a different type of like Christian than I am. Like I'm just unwilling to get rid of the title, right? Like, so, but the point
no, that's
is,
fine.
yeah, but the point is like I don't believe that one word of the Bible is true. And the reason why I don't believe that one word of the Bible is true is not because it may or may not be true, with the exception of Genesis, which is just complete fairy tale, and Revelation. So like here's Jason with the Bible.
Fever dream.
I take the first book and the last book and I throw them away because they're both made up for sure. Like everything. The rest of the Bible you can look at as at minimum a historical account, right? Like so, whether or not there's hyperbole and exaggeration or if it was made up, but like we don't know if a lot of the ancient Sumerian texts were embellished or made up either. Yeah. But but the atheist community will take them with a lot more seriousness than they will like Deuteronomy, right? Yeah. So like and there's places where like they talk about how Lot or not Lot, such and such begat Methuselah, who lived 991 years, had many children and died, and then like, and that person begat this person and his fourth son did this. So like, you can't, I don't believe that lineage is accurate because like, who could prove it? But somebody just was like, you know what, we need to go back and trace everything to Adam. So let's do that. And here I did it. And now it's true.
Well, it was for legitimacy because everything was patrilineal. And so you had to, it's the same thing with like Jesus, where they patrilineally have to be like, oh, see, like he is the birthright savior, even though like he didn't come from Joseph. So technically no. But
well, and not only that, real quick, let me pause you. Not only did he not come from Joseph, technically he came from the Holy Spirit, according to the Bible, but Joseph also not necessarily directly from Jesus, because he, in order to, there was I forget the details of it, but the story of Tamar, the prostitute, is in the lineage of Jesus. So there's like this deviation from it there.
Yeah. And it's all to like, because that was so important to them culturally. And so much of what I think the reason, of course, because I agree. I think if you're like, here's this Sumerian text, I'd be like, oh, that's very interesting. And you're like, Deuteronomy. And I'm like, ugh. Because Deuteronomy is used as a weapon. Like the Bible is currently used as a weapon. Like nobody comes to me with a Sumerian text and is like, why are you eating pigs? We shouldn't eat those. Like if people use that as a weapon, I'd be like, get out of here. Like, what are you doing? I don't care what that text says. I don't live in ancient Sumeria. And so I think that's the difference is like the Bible is used as a weapon.
Right.
And so I lose a lot of respect because it is weaponized religion.
Yeah. It's, and I think that's why I view Islam a little bit differently, because I view American Muslims way different than I do Muslims like the Ayatollah, right? Like the Ayatollah uses Islam as a weapon.
Yeah.
But the guy down the street from me who's a practicing Muslim is not using it as a weapon, at least one that impacts me in any meaningful way. And I am big on the thought process that if it doesn't impact my life, I don't care. You know, that's what I was saying about Matt Walsh. It literally doesn't impact who is or who is not identifying as what, has no impact on what's you whatsoever, other than the minor inconvenience of having to say I'm sorry once in a while for mispronouncing someone.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, like once in a while I will I will mispronounce someone. I will, like, if optically I'm looking at someone who uses pronouns they, their, and optically I'm looking at this person and they look like a man or a woman, I may very well say he or she in context of conversation, right? And I'll usually be like, oh, my bad, they, and 99 out of 100 of them will be like, you know, no problem.
Like,
there is 1 out of 100 who gets mad and like, but see, here's the thing, like Matt Walsh would take that 1 out of 100 and paint him as being the 100% when we know that that's not the case, right?
Exactly.
So like it's but like I don't view, because people will ask me all the time, like, well, why are you so staunchly an advocate for Muslims in America? And I'm like, because they're Muslims in America, that doesn't mean I like Islam. Islam is fucking awful, just like Christianity is.
Yeah.
Like they're every bit as bad as one is every bit as bad as the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the things that we are seeing happening in Muslim countries right now, most of that happened in this country, and we're going to celebrate ourselves because we're not doing all of it anymore. You know, like, and I'm talking about like public executions and like stonings in the street and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Oh,
like
but there are people who want us to live biblically.
They want that. Yeah.
And they want that. Like there's a not insignificant minority of people in Idaho who actively want that to be how we live. And then they say like, well, no, of course, I feel awful if people got murdered, but like, oopsie doopsie, it's in the Bible. So it's what Jesus said.
Yeah. And let me, Felicity, I don't generally like to address when you try to troll, but I'm going to address this one. You said they're mispronouncing themselves if they identify as plural, but they're not though. And no. I asked that question once and I got a very interesting answer that I never thought of. And here it is to you. A trans woman said to me once, she was like, well, I was like, can you explain the they, them to me? Because it's plural. Like, I don't get it. And they said to me, they said, well, it's not, because like, have you ever been in a conversation where like maybe you picked up the phone and especially back when we used to have landline phones, now we all have cell phones, so don't do it so much anymore. But like you used to pick up the phone and, you know, you tell your mom like, oh, grandma called. And your mom would say to you, oh, what'd they say? Yeah. Exactly. Or a guy from the phone company called. What'd they say? Did they leave a message?
Exactly.
Oh, we got to call them back.
Yeah. I always just say I talked to the doctor and they said, I'm perfectly fine. Ta-da.
Yeah.
We use it singular all the time.
Exactly. And so like, and that's another great example. Like, you know, I was arguing with the mailman and I'll tell you, man, well, what did they say to you? You don't say, oh, what did he or she say? You say they, right? So it's like, it's been in our nomenclature for a long time. You know, and you just have to get used to saying it with a particular cadence. And can it be a little bit annoying sometimes on an anecdotal level? Sure. I suppose that makes you human, but like if it makes someone else feel better, it's free to be nice. Right.
Yeah.
And it's free to give people respect.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt you. And if
it doesn't hurt us at all,
people are nice. Yeah. It's literally not a big deal at all. But they made it a big deal. It was never a big deal. Nobody cared. People within the LGBTQ community have been doing it for a long time. It was just when people started making a big deal about when people started using their pronouns like she and he to help them not feel so ostracized, that all of a sudden, oh, you got pronouns in your bio now. And my pronouns are fuck Joe Biden. Like,
Yeah. JP.
Every time. Every time.
Well, and they're also using it just so happens that Let's Go Brandon is LGB. So like they'll use LGBTAB, Let's Go Brandon, Take America Back, as like this way to get their message across and troll the LGBTQ community, which I will say is at least they're being somewhat clever. I give points for the cleverness, but on the other end of the stick, I'm like, you're still identifying yourself as a fucking piece of shit. So, whether you're clever or not doesn't really make much sense.
Oh, they will never hesitate to do that. Just like run into that every time. Like, are we having a conversation about something I'm uncomfortable with? I'm a bigot. I need everyone to know.
It's funny that they call us snowflakes because they're the real snowflakes. But
oh my gosh.
But to circle it back to like the religious thing, like, so I will not because I went down a rabbit hole there, but I don't view the person who practices Islam down the street as a problem until they prove themselves to be one, which is the same that I feel about anybody, right? Like I don't treat the people who live 3 houses away from me who have 6 Trump flags in front of their house. I don't treat them any differently when I see them, unless they prove themselves otherwise, right? Like I like their Trump flags? No. Do I cringe when I drive by it? Yeah. Do I think that someone's crazy for cringing when they see a mosque? Yes. Because that mosque has literally caused you no problem in your life whatsoever, where the Trump flag has literally caused me a boatload of issues within my life, both governmentally and around my own, like the Thanksgiving table, and then those, but what about 9/11? What about the terrorist attacks? Like those things had nothing to do with mosques in the United States. Those people flew in from Canada.
Like we could do that for Christianity 1,000 times over. Like,
yeah.
But the issue is just like if something happens to like within the Black community, like with one Black person, everyone's like, oh, the Black community. We do the same thing with Islam, where if there's one issue, we're like, well, Islam. But if we have like a white Christian guy shoot up a mall, we're like, well, lone wolf. Like we all don't want to be, we aren't the bad people, just him. But we do that with minority groups where we want to lump them all together based on the actions of one or a few people. But we want to be seen as individuals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, I recognize that in the Middle East, they probably do the same, like with their Christian community. And I think that when Christians who there are a lot of Arab Christians who live in the Muslim world who are persecuted. I think that is wrong, and I condemn that. But it has nothing to do with what's happening in the United States, and this is dig on America, not dig on Iran. So, I'll let I totally support what these women are going through in Iran right now. With the just simply saying I don't want to wear a hijab.
I have a story about how people are complicated with religion. So I have a lady that does alterations for me because I'm short. So like I have to fix all my pants and stuff. And like she's so sweet, such a nice lady. And the last time I was over there, she's Iranian, and she was like, hey, do you know what's going on? And we talked about it, and she cried. And she immigrated to the US when she was like 16. She's in her 60s now. And she was just talking about what's happening. Like her family left, I think during the regime change, something like that. And and we had a lovely conversation. We talked about what was happening. She has friends in Iran. It was a really like we both cried, we hugged, like it was a really wonderful moment. And not even like 3 minutes later, she was like, well, but the problem with this country is all these immigrants. And I was like, I don't want to be that blonde white woman, but did you just, what do I say about, like, I was like, I'm not really sure how to respond to this because you literally immigrated to this country and you say that the problem is immigrants. And she's like, well, not me. We're hardworking. She's like, it's the people in Mexico. I was like, no, that's not how, what? Like, what? Anyway, it just goes to show you that people are complex and complicated.
People suck. Like there's no question. Like it's overwhelmingly obvious that people suck.
Like I was just so shocked. Like we went from like, I was like, oh my gosh, like we're really connecting. Like I was learning about her culture and her, like where she comes from. And then just like instantly she's like, the problem with this country is immigrants. Like what? Like I don't like, it's just such a wild mindset to me that like, if Billy Bob from North Dakota, who has only lived in North Dakota his whole life, said that, I'd be like, well, because you watch Fox News, like you don't know anybody, so of course you're just parroting that talking point. But to what? It was so. It took me so aback. I was like, I guess we feel differently about that.
Not me, and it doesn't take me aback because I see it so much. But like the one of the things about being a white guy is that I am considered to be part of the safe space for people to say bigoted stuff. Like, when people do this and they look around their shoulder before they say something bigoted.
Oh yeah, they're going to say something real bad.
Yeah, they see me and they're like, okay, he's probably fine. But then they find out very quickly that, and depending on the amount of malice that I see in it, like if somebody uses an N-word joke or something like that, they're going to get a different treatment than like that lady might have gotten in from me. Because what I would probably respond to that person and be like, well, what do you, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you explain to me what you mean? Because once they start to explain what they mean, then sometimes you can find the indoctrination on there, because just because someone is from another, the Middle East, or especially the Middle East, I mean, or Asia, they're indoctrinated with American culture from birth.
Oh no,
anyway.
it took a hard turn when she was like, I only watch Project Veritas. And I was like,
I see.
I'm going to go now. I guess boomers can be anybody. Like, I see you now. So anyway, I left really quickly. She does a great job, but now I just know new things about her. So that's unfortunate.
But maybe she's one of those people who can be spoke to, right? Because because people can be changed. It's
absolutely.
That's one thing that I know for sure is that people. Sorry, I have to switch my earpiece. People can definitely be changed, but they have to be willing to enter into a genuine conversation, because like there is no, and this is interesting based on the other conversation too, like with religion. But because there's a difference. Like there is no conversation politically where I cannot at least express the logic behind my stance to someone where it will evoke thought. With religion, it's always there's always something supernatural involved, like and you just can't get around that, and that's where the rabbit hole gets really, really deep, because like this hasn't happened, but it will happen at some point in time, because I've had this conversation in so many other ways. But like this is a developing situation in the Jason Dutch house right now. We have an Alexa by the bed, and my son really likes this Christian song, and it's called "Rest on Us." And
Rest
the
or
song
rust?
itself, "Rest," R-E-S-T,
Okay.
"Rest on Us." It's basically a ballad to the Holy Spirit, and the song itself is like, it's fine, right? It's a typical evangelical church Christian song, right? But he really likes it. So about a month and a half ago, he said, because Melissa listens to Christian music in the car, so he was like, I like this song, and that part's fine. My mom used to listen to Christian music, Sandy Patty, Carmen,
Yeah.
When I was in the car, and there were songs that I liked and stuff like that, and I enjoyed them when they came on. There are some wonderful musicians who are super talented who happen to do contemporary Christian music, right?
Mhm.
I may not agree with their religious choices, but that doesn't mean they're not talented music artists. But he has asked Alexa to play this song every single night for the last 45 days. I am fucking tired of it. And I don't care if it's, and the point is, I don't care if it's "Rest on Us" or if it's, "Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me lately." I don't want to listen to that song 45 nights in a row either.
I was going to say, this might not be a religion problem. This might be it's time to be fucking done with that song problem.
But it will be if I tell my wife I'm tired of it and he needs to find a new song. Because she will say, well, I don't know why everything religious triggers you. Or why are you trying to stand in between my son's relationship with God and with just because you don't believe? Or she'll say something to the point of like, why do you feel convicted? And like, I've already thought of all of the possible responses, and there's none of these that are going to go good.
No, there's no way you can respond to questions like that well. So
I could be Coldplay. That is you.
It's true.
If it were Coldplay, I would already be dead. Like these guys
that
who
would
sing
be
that,
so bad.
Like it could be Coldplay, or it could be like Lou Bega, like some one-hit wonder song.
Mhm.
But like I've gone through the gauntlet of like all the ways to try to get, so I try to subtly like, hey, can you maybe find another Christian song that you like?
Oh, I was just gonna say that.
Play
Like,
it every
how
other
about
night.
Another Christian.
He's like, nope,
one.
it's got to be that one. And I'm like,
sounds like you're doomed.
I walk around all day with this song in my head. All day.
That feels like
every
oppression.
day. And like, so if I share that with Melissa, she'll be like, well, that's probably the Holy Spirit speaking to you. No, it's definitely not. It's because like, but see, they get around this and they're like, they get so tied up in the fact that, look, and if I get angry and I say, I don't want to listen to the song anymore, well, that's just must be the devil.
It's the devil. I was just gonna say,
Satan is in you, and that song is speaking to you, and so he is making you fight back. No.
Oh my God. Can we have an exorcism? Exorcism time. Next Friday, Dutch is going to have an exorcism. This is going to be amazing because he's a deep fake tonight. So we need to exorcise that evil spirit right out of him. I'm down. Do you know how many people would tune in for an exorcism, Dutch?
Let's do it.
It's going to be amazing. I'm going to get my witchy friends to give me some things. I'm going to burn some shit. We're going to exorcise you. It's going to be amazing. And your wife will, I think this is, you guys, this is going to be great.
All right. Well, let's do it. I don't see why not.
We get the song out of you, maybe, or the devil.
If you can get the song out of my head so that when I like the next time that he plays it, it's like the first time that I've heard it again, I'm fine. But like,
I know. Let's do it.
I don't want to be sitting at my computer and constantly have Rest on Us going through my head anymore. I can't take it. It's going to drive me insane.
Let's see if we can get the song out. If we get the devil out, can you imagine how we'll go viral like that? Like,
what if the devil comes out of me on stream?
That's what I'm saying. This is a win-win. I have so many questions if he does. This is going to be incredible.
Like Lindsay comes back to like the entire leftist community goes. They keep talking about on Victory Channel how the nation's gonna have this come to Jesus moment. You might see it live.
I'm all about the evidence. If there's all the if the devil comes and is like, oh, absolutely, like I'm here for evidence. Like, yes, I've got questions. Let's sort this out. Like, let's do it. Oh my God, we're gonna have an exorcism. Dig on America's first exorcism.
What if he comes out and starts singing the song?
Then we know. Then I've got more questions, and that band is going to be famous or infamous or both.
The devil could possibly still be saved.
I know. Can you? Okay. I'm an atheist, but can you imagine if we exorcise you, we get the demon, we get the devil out of you. He's singing the song, and then we convert him to Christianity. Like, then we're basically like we're the gods of Christianity at that point.
Also on the show, the ghost of Constantine.
I know. I feel like just as a side segment, and we can keep doing it week after week and see if it works. Like, we can try different things.
Well, you
just
know, a few weeks ago, I prayed for us to have 2,000 viewers, and it hasn't happened yet. But
it's because we didn't get the devil out of you.
Well,
I see what the problem is now.
What if you get the devil out of the deep fake by accident, and it's still in me?
Okay, well then we have to just do it again. But if we did it the first time, they'll know how to do it. I'm just telling you, win-win-win. There aren't lose.
Really?
There aren't lose scenarios here. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see why not. It can't hurt.
We can keep it short. I'm going to do research about how we do this. I'm not going to do an exorcism where we like murder you. We're just going to do
well, why not?
Well, because I don't think that's going to fly. We're going to get kicked.
Mikey would be overjoyed.
We'll get kicked off of YouTube. We can't have that. So,
well, not if Matt Walsh didn't get kicked off of YouTube yet. I mean, you never know.
I don't know. I just don't want us to get banned again. So we're not going to do it to where but what if your head flies back and you crawl up the wall? We win. Like, can you imagine? Instant news. You're going to be all over the news. Especially around Christmas time. This is insanity.
The baby Jesus will be here.
And then we could start a church. And that's where the money is. Again, I'm just telling you.
That's a good idea. And then
I told you.
We wouldn't have to pay taxes.
When I tell you. I've heard nothing but good ideas for the past 5 minutes.
That, I am the one with the marketing degree, but apparently you are the one with the marketing mind.
You didn't think about having an exorcism to build up
that.
You're the more religious one, Dutch. What the hell?
Because I don't believe exorcisms are real, but I'm going to be proven wrong.
Let's prove it. Let's do it. And then you can tell your wife, actually, because then when you say, don't play the damn song, she'd be like, the devil's in you, would be like, actually not, because we did a whole exorcism. So I'm giving you what you want.
Yeah, you missed HR.
I know. No, we're doing an exorcism.
Yeah, you'll have to go on YouTube later and watch the replay, because this is fucking good shit. So we're going to do an exorcism of me. Lindsay is going to exercise me, not the workout kind.
No,
I'm not running. Okay. I do that for 15 minutes every morning, and that's it every day. 15 minutes on the elliptical, and I am done. But I gotta at some point increase that, but that's not the type of exercising that we will be doing here.
No, we're gonna get the devil out of either Dutch or the Dutch deep fake.
The devil is in the Dutch tales.
If you crawl sideways up the wall, I will be thrilled.
How can I not at this point?
It's gonna be amazing when I tell you. Just it's going to be great. If your eyes turn all black, we're going to get that devil out of you, and then you can stop listening to that god-awful song.
Can the devil make my green screen work better too? That would be.
Oh, yeah,
That's
we could
probably
be
why
like-
it's not working.
That's all. Yeah. He's not. He's like got some interference. He's not so great with the technology. We'll be like, my
It's
dude.
like the devil's like an old grandpa
I
trying to
know.
use an iPhone for the first time.
We're trying to make it on Twitch, Mr. Satan. We really need you to leave because this is not the best. This is not the best screen we've had. So
This ain't working out, Lucifer. Though
Mhm.
I do believe that Lucifer is not the devil. But
I mean,
anyway,
we can ask him and find out.
we can.
Do you know how many answers we're
solve
gonna
that
have?
debate.
I know.
Yeah, we'll solve that debate.
If you don't projectile vomit green stuff, like I will be so sad. I could cry maybe.
Well, if I'll just do it on the green screen and no one will even know.
Oh my god. Well, see, if we just suddenly like Dutch's green screen and we just have like this much, I'll be like, you guys, it's working.
Oh, heavens to Betsy.
Yeah, this is going to be great, you guys. I'm so
All
excited.
right, I'm in. We're
This
next
is
Friday.
our new thing. We exercise you until we get the devil out and you don't have to listen to that song anymore.
So
and then we
okay,
start a
so
church.
Let's I'm totally in. But let's just play let's go through some mitigation here first.
Okay.
So
wait, is next Friday Christmas?
No, Christmas
Okay.
is not on a Friday.
Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, it's on a Sunday. This is perfect. It's
Yeah.
our Christmas. It's our Christmas spectacular.
Yeah. So here's the funny question though. So
Okay.
what happens? So when, as you know, and look,
Mhm.
fun fact, our show has not, me and Lindsay's show has not been on a couple of times, and it's always been because one of the two of us has literally kids projectile vomiting from being
Mhm.
sick. So if that day one of our children becomes sick throwing up, is that the devil trying to stop the exorcism by making our kids sick?
Maybe. But that we can ask him when he gets out of your body. And I can be like, could you just not? Like, goddamn.
It's all we're asking for is 2 hours one day a week.
Exactly. Just not puking on Fridays. Could we puke on Monday so we can get out of school and work? Not Friday. Thank you.
Exactly. It's
Oh, that's a great idea. I might need a Ouija board. I don't know where you get those. I will find out.
think
I will
you can
find
just
one.
buy them at Walmart.
Okay, fantastic. We're gonna
At
do
least
that
they
too.
used to. Walmart though is pretty right wing. Like they might not sell Ouija boards because of the the backlash that they would get. But like when I used to work at Toys R Us, I think Milton Bradley used to make the
I know.
Ouija board.
I know, but there's not Toys R Us anymore.
And
unless
here was
you're
the
in
crazy
Canada.
thing. Like when I used to work at Toys R Us, I was like, how old was I? 20? And I was so raised by an evangelical family that when I saw the Ouija board, like the Milton Bradley or Hasbro, whatever fuck brand it was, Ouija board, I was aghast. I was like, oh, I better stay away from this aisle because all that stuff my mom told me must be true.
Oh, my parents told me like if I even touched it, I would be possessed.
The Ouija boards and Dungeons and Dragons, like
Yeah. Oh, my
Like-
dad, like I was past the satanic panic time because I was like not born. But it like my dad was a young adult then. And I remember I was like 7 and in the library with him. And I must have picked up a book or something. I don't know how this conversation started. But he was like, you're going to think it's fun and games. And it's just, you're just researching it and you just want to know more about it. Or you're just playing a game with your friends. But then you'll be possessed by the devil and you'll be in too deep. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm 7.
if it turns out after all these years that we thought the devil was this malignant, demonic, evil character, but hell-bent on destroying humanity, turns out he's just a nerd who likes to play dumb scenario games with his friends.
Or like
all he
make you say naughty words with a Ouija board. He's like, I'm 12. That's funny. Never gets old.
He apparently also invented cards with cards. What is it called? Cards
Cards
Against
Against
Humanity.
Humanity.
Yeah.
He's got a sense of humor. I'm telling you, if he I'm excited. That will be such a good show. I have so many questions. I bet he's kind of funny, even maybe a bit of a potty mouth, but
yeah, the devil is a Twitter troll. Who knew? Well, and that's the funny thing is after Elon started selling the blue check marks, both Jesus and the devil both got verified.
I love that.
They said, "Do you have any articles that have been written about you?" Well, yeah, there's this one. It's got 66 books in one.
Exactly.
and one and 27 books in the New Testament. You might have heard of it. It's for sale at Barnes and Noble. I know it's not on Amazon, but the okay. So to try, we keep going down different rabbit holes. So, but this is good.
Gosh, but that one was so much fun.
It absolutely is, because the funny thing is the best parts of podcasting are always in the times where you're talking about one thing and expecting to have just a normal, rational conversation about something. And it turns out you could start talking about something that's completely different.
Yeah,
Has absolutely nothing to do with what you're talking about.
We plan an exorcism. I did not think we'd plan an exorcism when we started this tonight, but now I'm very excited.
Jesus knew, though.
I know. So maybe he's into it because he didn't stop us. Nobody puked today. So he was like, I'm down. A little pre-Christmas entertainment.
And magically, when we do that, there will be the 2,000 viewers that we asked for.
I know. I'm telling you. Tell your friends we're doing an exorcism.
Yeah.
You might see Dutch throw his head back, vomit, and climb up the wall. And I'll have Mikey clip that so we can put it in the intro. So.
Oh, he absolutely will. And poor Hassan will be doing his stream, and he'll be like, "Where'd all my viewers go?"
I know. And they'll be like, there was an exorcism.
so like Hassan will be watching us and he'll be like,
I know. I'm telling you.
This is crazy. Come back here. Oh, why are you guys over there? Come back here.
And then we start a church and we're rich. I'm just saying.
That is the way to get rich these days. We could be Crespo Dollar.
I'm down.
Or Pat Robertson.
Exactly. And we'll
Not
need
Kenneth
a jet.
Copeland, though. I don't want to be Kenneth Copeland.
No.
He's too creepy.
So, and we'll just keep it real simple and just be like, no, I absolutely do need that jet, because when I talked to the devil, he told me I sure did.
Oh, geez. So circling back, here's what I want to know from you. Are you interested in existence of God, atheism debates? And if you, and whether you are or not, can you explain to me why the atheist community loves them so much?
Okay, so I'm not as much. I'm not against them. I'm just fighting for my life over here in Idaho. So, the mental energy involved, I just don't always have it. But I'm not, I think it's an interesting thought exercise. And I don't sometimes I think it's incredibly antagonistic, and a little bit it's kind of like the libertarians who are like, no, let's talk about liberty. And if you don't meet their very specific definition of liberty, I'm perfectly consistent in my values, then they're like, no, you're just, you don't understand liberty. And so I think there's something to that. I also think, though, that especially in Western countries, Christianity is everywhere. And when you're Christian, you don't see that. You don't see how much it permeates everything, how so many assumptions in everyday life are based on Christianity. And so I think part of it is kind of it's a thought exercise. Think about, okay, if just forcing people kind of outside of that bubble, think about this differently. Because Christians, there is a segment of Christianity that constantly talk we're being oppressed. There's a war on Christmas. They're taking God from our children, whatever. And when you have to think, when you suddenly are not Christian and you're atheist or a religious minority, you see how absolutely absurd that is, that Christianity is everywhere. And so when you're having these conversations with people and you say, actually, let's think about it this way. Try to think about it this way. it does force people to have a moment of cognitive dissonance or have a little bit of trying to empathize with another position, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it just becomes kind of antagonistic, and sometimes that's just fun to debate just for debate's sake.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like I don't know what Wesley's trying to do. I think he's trying to debate. But who cares? But I can't tell if it's sarcasm or not. But there was a really good comment. So HR, here's a question. Why is the devil so scary if he has no power over the saved? He's all powerful and completely powerless at the same time. So I'll kind of disagree with that. So like the idea in Christian philosophy is that the devil actually has no power, and any power that's granted to the devil is God gave him that in order to, judge humanity, because so in a way, like there's two different narratives of the devil that even the Christian community doesn't really agree on. One is more spoken behind closed doors because it's not popular. But the one is the devil, that the devil was the one, like Satan is rebelled against God and, is now trying to use his powers to corrupt humanity and to join him in hell. Right. That's more of an amalgamation between like the Watcher's story, the story of the myth of the mythology surrounding Lucifer, who is kind of a different character than Satan to my eye, and the rest of the conversation about like the deceiver and stuff like that. But there is another camp that says basically that Satan is not like an evil character. He works on behalf of God, and he is like the legislator. He is like the prosecuting attorney that is under God, that works, that is beholden to him. And he's like, here, I want you to be like the prosecutor of humanity and do all these things to prove who is my true servants, right? So that they have the appropriate tests within their life. Because this is what happens in the story of Job, right? And I believe the story of Lot and the story of Job. So, but again, that's just interesting philosophy. But it's that there is a philosophical question that Christians don't like. Can God create a rock that is so heavy that he cannot lift it? Because if he can create, if he can't create that rock, is he omnipotent? And if he can't lift it, then is he omnipotent, right? So yeah, it's a existential question. It's one that's not supposed to have an answer, but a Christian would just be like, of course he could create, he could do that, because all things are possible with God, and you just can't understand the mind of God. And that's their way out of all of the conversations. Like, well, his mind is deeper than yours, because on some other plane he'd be able to do it, right? Like, so it's there. And that's the thing when it comes to arguing with religious people, is that there is no way out of the conversation, because either I'm deceived, or I'm just not paying attention enough, or I have to open my heart to God,
mice,
or whatever. So God created a toe that's too beautiful for him to look upon.
I was wondering where you were.
Well, he has created them. They're on Lindsay's feet, and we cannot put them on stream for a reason. And we've been telling you that now, tons, for like 2 months. But you consistently troll Lindsay to get a foot shot.
I know. I just can't do it.
She can't, because you will die.
I know.
Like,
I can't live with that. I just can't live with that.
They'll be like, Lindsay, you killed tons of mice. Tons of mice are dead.
I know. I'm sorry, tons of mice. And I got like a really cute Christmas pedicure. So I know you're just going to have to live with that. I'm sorry.
It's a good way to go. Oh,
So-
jeez. The Lindsay stands are here again, as we see.
I missed you guys.
Don't worry, we'll get you your ASMR moment.
I know, and
before
we're
we
doing
log
an
off.
exorcism next week. I'm so excited. So I'm gonna like goth it up. We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna get the devil out of Dutch.
Yeah, Lamar, can you handle that? Handle that for me, Lamar. You're the mod. But
the issue, so because I was raised like Mormon, that was what informed my knowledge of the devil. And so the Mormon story of the devil is that we all lived in some like realm with God before we were born. And the devil, so God like showed a plan, and it was like, hey, somebody has to go to earth and like die for all of you because you're going to go to earth and sin. And you can't come back to my presence because you'll have sinned. And so one of God's children, Satan, who is his like name before birth was Lucifer. And he said, no, that's stupid. Like, how about if we have a savior die, then everyone just can be saved. But we can't have that because that's communism. So Satan was like, your plan sucks because you're not going to save most of your children. Because in Mormonism, most people won't make it to heaven. So your plan sucks. So God kicked him out and sent him to earth so that he would tempt people. But he's like one of God's children, just like we are. But he's just like a bad guy. And so his whole purpose is that God isn't controlling him or making, like, he's just allowed to just be awful and tempt us and make us sin so that we don't get to go live with God again until the millennium when he will be bound. So the issue with Mormon Satan is all he has to do to completely stop God's plan is just not do anything. If he doesn't tempt anyone, then the plan fails. So Mormon Satan is simultaneously, when you bring that up, when you're like, well, so if he just stopped tempting people, God's plan would fall apart. And they say, well, he can't help himself because he's so evil that's all he wants to do all day. And so he's simultaneously, because they're like, he's so smart, like he knows your deepest thoughts and he knows how to trick you. So he's simultaneously the smartest being, except for God, and the dumbest, because it would be very simple for him to like stop God, but he just can't do it. But he's also super smart. So that's the quandary of Mormon Satan. So
I didn't realize I was on mute that whole time, but it's good because no one wanted to hear me anyway. That's interesting. I didn't know that difference. By Darth Kermit CLB. Wesley, I'm not sure if you're a troll or not, but I think that you should probably, look up the book of James where it says, what does it say? Does James 5 let him know that he who turns a sinner from his ways shall, cover a multitude of their own sins and have rewards in heaven. So if you actually believe the things that you're saying, you should be trying to save us, not tell us that we are going to eat tuna or whatever.
Okay, sometimes tuna is just like, it hits the spot though. So we're not going to hate on that fish all the time.
Yes, especially fresh tuna. Fresh tuna is far better than that stuff they put in a can.
Well, yeah. No, that's like box mac and cheese. That's not a representation of like Italian pasta. But yes, fresh tuna is delicious.
Yes. Are you a sushi person?
Oh yeah, I love sushi.
Oh yeah,
we eat that for Christmas Eve.
I'm a huge sushi fan. Like the only thing I don't like is like the spicy stuff, but I don't like spicy anything. But I will eat me some sushi. Like we'll have to cater in sushi for the big Dig on America Christmas party that we're gonna have. In Vegas next week, which none of us are gonna be there, but it's happening.
Perfect.
Can't prove me wrong.
I know. Well, if you have enough faith, we can get the devil to help with that once we get him out of you.
That's true as well. Did I get my... Okay, I did. All right. So last question on this, I think. Then we'll get to your ASMR moment.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what all the kids are here for. Yeah. Oh, ooh, there's a little preview. So the other day I said, Alexa, play ASMR. Just want to see what happened. And it was like this.
That's
And it
not
was like
ASMR.
it was like 8 minutes that I listened to this, and there was like 7 noises. And I'm like, is the volume not up? So then I was like, and this was the creepiest shit ever. I wasn't expecting it. I've heard you do it, like, thank you for listening to our show. Like really quiet.
Yeah.
And you're the only person I've ever heard do this. So I said, Alexa, skip. So it goes to another one, and there's noises, like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this one's more normal. And then all of a sudden, I hear this whisper. And at first, like in a woman's whisper, it sounded like you. And I was like, is she fucking here? Like, I'm looking around, and I'm like, and then I was like, no, that's not her voice. And then I heard it again. I'm like, and then I go back to like 7-year-old Dutch who believes that like the devil's gonna, and I'm like, is that like a demon talking to me? Like, what? It was the creepiest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting like knocks on, like Sasquatch calls, knocks on sound, knocks on wood and stuff like that. And here this person is whispering at me. I'm like, oh my God. I was so creeped out. I had to turn it off because I wasn't expecting that. But
it's definitely Satan.
We'll find out next week. Tune in next week for the exorcism. I don't know how it's gonna go. But it ain't gonna go well.
Hopefully with you climbing walls, it's gonna be so good. I know. Perfect. Just like that. Throw your head back a little more. Yeah, I say you're gonna have to, exactly. Yep. All right, you're doing so well. Exactly.
All right. What's the last way that I can tease this off? So like so I asked you before, like if those conversations with like the existence of God stuff is something that you like, and you already answered that question, or if you kind of get involved in those conversations. But I do want to ask you this, like, why do you think it is that a fraction, I don't want to categorize all atheists as this, but like, why do you think it is that that a lot of members of the atheist community are, I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm just asking for your, I guess, to co-sign this, is like that they're so interested in having this conversation, it's kind of like the right where they want to own the left. And obviously I don't believe that they're trying to do it dishonestly like the right wing is. But like, it seems like a conversation that they just, whenever the door is opened, some of my atheist friends was jump into it. And I'll be like, dude, I don't want to talk about this. Like, it's not important to me. And they're like, oh no, but you have to prove that statement. And I'm like, why is this conversation like something that they're so interested in having like all the time?
I think so. For a lot of atheists, a lot of people who are atheists,
Reddit atheists is what Read and Rap calls it.
Yep. Reddit atheists. Because it's not like, I have a lot of friends who are atheists, and we don't really talk about God ever. It just doesn't come up. But I think people who do, a lot of times I think they're fresh atheists, or they feel like religion was such a net negative in their life that it is equally a net negative for everyone else. And so it's kind of that like missionary zeal that they instill on you when you're Christian, that doesn't go away just because you're not Christian. And so if you think something was such a net negative and so problematic, and potentially so problematic for society, then you also want to help other people not have to deal with that or not have that in their life. And so I think there's a wanting to save other people, or even just like somebody made, and a lot of us are atheists because somebody made an argument that really clicked, and we started to think about things differently. So I think they want to be that for their friends and their family members, where if I just say it right, if I just make the right argument, if we just have this discussion, I bet they'll see it my way, and then we can be atheists together, or I can help them move away from the harms of religion. And so I think it does come from, I mean, there's always the people who just like, they just want to be right and a dick.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of times it comes from a place of they want to help people, and they want to, like, if I just debate with them this one time, I think I can help convert's not the right word, but deconstruct, or they'll think about it differently. And I want that for my friends. So I think in a lot of places it does come from a good place. It's just kind of misguided.
Yeah, and there's a couple Read and Rap and HR are bringing this up in the chat. HR says a lot of us went searching for God and didn't find what we thought we would. We feel like we were lied to all our lives, and whether you realize it or not, our Christianity in particular, whether you realize it or not, Christianity in particular is so embedded into every facet of life. And see, here's the interesting thing, okay? And you guys know that, like, I do a podcast with Mikey, like, who Mikey is a very overt atheist. And the only time that we ever bump heads is on this conversation. Here's how I look at it. And I don't want to speak for Mikey because he's not here, so I'll let him. He's more than capable of speaking for himself.
Okay, wait. There are two sides to every issue. There are multiple points to every issue. Now he'll come. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
I summoned him.
Yeah, but like I don't deny the fact that Christianity in particular is embedded of every facet of our life here in the United States. Like this, our fucking government was started by people who were very heavily influenced, even though maybe not Christian themselves, by it. And then society built itself up with a dependence on Christianity, and usually an oppressive dependence on Christianity that preached things like, you know, the house on the hill mentality, or, you know, the ideas behind Western expansion, which were, you know, that it was manifest destiny, that sort of stuff. I'm not the person who is propagating religious, you know, I am fighting against religious power, because as a member of the anti-religion community, which I'm not even sure if that's really specifically like a thing.
I think you
know
made that up.
Yeah, I think I identify as part of like the super anti-religion community. So like, I hate fucking religion. I just don't tie religion to whether or not the idea of the existence of God to me is unimportant, because I can't do anything about it. Religion, I can.
Yeah.
And like, but even that particular conversation, there are folks who will get, and Mikey is not guilty of this, by the way. He doesn't care about this one. But there, I have talked to atheists who just like still lose their mind. Like, yes, but you have to just, you know, you can't even subtly acknowledge that maybe there's a God. I'm like, what difference does it make? He's not transcendent in the world. It's like, he's gone. He left. He went back to Mars, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but you're still propagating the myths. And that part I don't understand. Like, if I was like, hey, you know what? If I was pushing the narrative that like, well, you know, morality is inherently Christian. Like, Christian morality is like a good thing. And like, even though I might vote Democrat, I still think that there is some good to Christian morality. I don't even say that, because none of the stuff that is advertises Christian morality is unique to Christianity.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I even think H.R. Johnson brings up, I think, a really good point, that it is normalized for religious people to bring up their faith in everyday conversation. Why shouldn't the same consideration be given to non-theists? And like, I get asked at work all the time, like, are you a believer? Or people will be like, oh my God, that's so good that Jesus did that in your life. And they're not trying to be rude. They're not trying to say anything. But if I say similar things, it's viewed as an attack. Or I had somebody who was talking about the role of women be at work because of the Bible. And I was like, I mean, that's fine, but for you to believe that, but I shouldn't, like, laws that I have to follow shouldn't be based on the mythos of your religion. And
Exactly.
he went to HR and was like, that was offensive. How dare you say that? Like that, the fact that I said his belief system was based on mythos was horribly offensive. And other people are like, you can't say that. You shouldn't say that. But if people say, ask me if I'm a believer, or want to talk about Jesus, or things like that, that's viewed as okay in our society. And so I think there is a defensiveness when people ask me about my belief. There is a little bit of defensiveness because I get burned if I actually say anything that isn't just like Christian affirming.
Right.
And so
no, I get it. And I get what HR is saying too. Like, you know, I super understand the angry atheist, because I'm the angry anti-religious person, right? Like when I go sit in church next to the wife, sometimes I get fucking irritated at the subtle bullshit and, you know, the subtle political messages that get spewed out from the pulpit, and the things that foster hate within people that Matt Walsh so eloquently makes not subtle.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know, so it's like those ideas come from somewhere. And then, and I am big on the idea that silence equals complicity, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you are not combating all of the bad stuff that comes along with this religious propaganda, then you are part of the problem. That is not to say that I am against people having their faith. I think Islamic people should be able to be Islamic. I think that, you know, Arab people, that Shinto folks can practice Shinto. I just don't want to see you telling me that that is the way that I should live, and then trying to enforce that with policy that is being handed down on me by government. If you choose to go to church and choose to live by those laws, then have at it. You know, but
if you want to live that way, fine, but don't tell me I have to live that way.
Right. And like my mom is super devout evangelical, and like it frustrates me when she brings everything back to God, but I also know she's going to do that. And outside of that phone call, it doesn't really impact me.
Yeah.
So like, I know she's going to do it. Once in a while, she'll throw a really crazy idea out there and I'll be like, no, well, here's the actual, like they were talking about something that they were talking about, like strip clubs being dens of evil. And I was like, well, evil is a relative term then, you know? So like, what you're going to tell me that strip clubs are evil. I can tell you that pasta is evil, you know, because like to the person there, it's certainly not evil. So, you know, it's,
or
you
it
think
is,
it's
but
evil,
we love that shit.
Yeah. You know, so it's like, you know, and you see this a lot with porn, like, oh, well, porn is evil. No, there's really nothing evil about porn at all. It's
as long as it's all consensual and adults.
As long as it's consensual and adults, then it's perfectly fine, right? So
that's true. Tons of mice. I bet you see so many toes at strip clubs. The best toes.
When a stripper comes up to tons of mice and they have closed-toed shoes on, their tips are infinitesimally
nothing.
Small.
Like nothing. No tips are dropped.
In fact, he asks them for money.
And he's like, this is not what I signed up for.
Right. Okay. We're going to get out of here. You get your ASMR moment in a second. First, there's a preview of it. There's a preview. So 3 quick things. Number 1, we're going to raid another show. So if you're on Twitch, stick with us. Don't you dare fucking log off. Please. So within 3 minutes, we'll be raiding another show. Stick around there, say hello for a second, tell them you were sent by Dig on America. Number 2, I have a Twitch channel. I will put it in the chat. I mostly just watch like Matt Walsh or religious videos and kind of make fun of them. It's twitch.tv/ Dutch Jason. Just started it. I have like 13 followers. So any follows there would be great. Just so that maybe you don't even have to watch it. I don't give a fuck. And maybe more people will see that. Yeah, just follow. If you
after the exorcism, I bet you'll have so many followers.
After the exorcism, it's going to blow up. So you'll be able to say that you were an original. You were an OG.
You were like OG.
So then I will let and then tune in on Sunday for Lauren's show. So I will let Lindsay share her
And don't miss
TikTok-ishness.
our Christmas exorcism next Friday. It's gonna be so good. You don't want to miss it. Dutch is
The war
gonna
on
just
Christmas is being escalated to
a full-on exorcism.
absolutely.
It's your chance to see Satan. Come on, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna try.
Lindsay,
I'm gonna try a
do your
things.
but before you do that, tell the folks where they can follow you and like see all your TikToks and stuff.
Yeah, on Socialistly Awkward on TikTok and Instagram, and Socialistly Awkward on Twitter. So I'm in all those places. And now ASMR. Okay, I'm gonna try a couple of things. We'll see if they work.
Tons of Mice is gonna lose his mind.
Okay, I want to see if this one's a good one too. We're gonna do a lot of trial and error, seeing if it's a good trigger or not. I don't think that one's that great. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you. Don't miss our exorcism next week. It's gonna be lit. All right, that's all. But I'm gonna find some fun stuff. We're gonna make that a real thing.
I think you did. I think you did just fine. All right, so let's. I thought I had the window pulled up already, but I didn't. So let's go to the creator. And we're going to rate another show. So
I'll see you guys next week.
Lindsay is going to head out. See you later.
See you guys.
And those of you on YouTube, we'll end the show here in a sec. Let's oh, you know what? Let's just go over to Mikey's channel. He's on, so let's do that. So you guys can see Mikey in 10 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, raid.